get to your first period class on Monday morning. Your eyes are slowly shutting because you were up late last night doing homework and assignments. You look a mess because you slept past your alarm because you didn't have any time to get ready because you were too tired. As your eyes are slowly shutting, you hear those famous 5 words. This will be due soon. Your eyes snap open and you think to yourself, this is just another thing to add to the list. The reality is that 56% of students say that homework is their primary source of stress. The issue is not homework is being given, it's the amount of homework being given by teachers. It is not unreasonable to think that teachers will assign homework and assignments. It's the amount being given. Some just don't understand that we just don't have the time to do everything. We don't have 1 course load, we have 4, and each individual course has its own set of projects, presentations, assignments, quizzes, tests, labs, essays, and homework. All this work has to be done within the same time, and not everything can be done. A single person can only do so much work. Sometimes students have multiple tests and quizzes within the same week, along with assignments due. And it is rare that you get class time to study or make notes because teachers always want to move on to the next lesson. There is the phrase time management that teachers often use. But even if you're the most efficient student and the most intelligent student, and you're organized and you use any class time that you get and you start as soon as you get home, you can't get everything done. And the reality is, because there's not enough time in the day and students can't do everything. 1 in 4 students over the age of 16 work. The excessive amount of homework can and is making students sick. Bodies can handle only so much stress. When one stresses, the energy doesn't just affect them mentally and physically. It affects them emotionally as well. Researchers explain that students' increasing stress levels lead to many physical impacts, including migraines, ulcers, sleep deprivation, exhaustion, and weight loss. Students can only take so much before their body starts to shut down. If you are skipping meals and staying up late so you can fit work into your busy schedule, your body will pay the consequences. Also, students, when they're stressed, don't eat or sleep because their body is so consumed with nervousness and their minds just can't shut down. That also affects their body. The stress that students are suffering from can lead to anxiety, eating disorders, personality changes such as irritability and hostility, decreased interest in appearance, obsessive compulsion disorder, and social withdrawal and isolation. Stress is one of the greatest challenges to overcome because it consumes us. It manages to inhabit our bodies and minds, both mentally and physically. Yes, there are many things that can cause stress, but when over 56% of students are saying that their main source of stress is from homework, it shows that is a common occurrence. It is not just one child complaining to their teacher that they're giving too much homework or it's an unreasonable amount. It's multiple children and multiple teachers. The problem is not students are getting homework, it's the amount of homework that's being given. Yes, understandably, teachers have a job to do and work needs to be assigned, but they need to be considerate and mindful of other classes and students' personal lives and extracurricular activities. It is estimated that 79% of middle school and high school students are involved in extracurricular activities, and 50% of those students have a recurring extracurricular activity every day. I know a student who works during the week and on weekends, on top of all of that, are committed to playing a sport that requires minimum 3 nights a week. The student schedule is already hectic and busy as it is. Add 3 tests, 3 assignments, and a quiz. How is that student going to get everything done? Why do students put themselves through this stress? They do it because they know their future counts on it. They do it so they don't disappoint their parents, their grandparents, their teachers, and even themselves. So to add on to all this pressure, the extra pressure that their future depends on it only makes them more stressed out. Teachers fit into 2 categories. Ones who try to accommodate their students and ones who we feel don't. We perceive them this way because we feel that they don't take into consideration our needs and our extracurricular activities. What about a student who goes to class and by the time he gets home, he has a good 3 hours of homework, but he works until 9 o'clock. So add those 3 hours, that equals 12 o'clock by the time he finishes. So by the time he goes to bed, he's exhausted and he probably didn't retain any information because he's so tired and because it's so late. So the next day he gets to class and his eyes are slowly shutting. He's doing this because he was up late last night doing all that homework. He didn't retain any information in his lesson or last night, repeating this vicious cycle all over again. Is it not stressful and aggravating always feeling like you're falling behind because you have such a course load, and even when you get caught up, you fall behind again? Maybe if the assigned homework was a minimum amount, he'd be able to retain information, finish all his homework, and understand it, and understand the lesson the next day. The expression, well, you're going to have to do that yourself, or it's not my problem, is often used when teachers don't accommodate their students. But shouldn't all teachers' goals be for the success of their student and how they can accommodate their students and how their student can be successful? Some helpful tips that students can use to help overcome or settle stress are try using breathing techniques. Sometimes breathing can calm down the mind and body and help relieve stress. Also, recent surveys explain that 88% of students say that yoga helps relieve stress. It relaxes the mind and body by focusing on positive energy. Try and think positive and say to yourself, look at the bigger picture. Sometimes in situations we become so overwhelmed with everything, our bodies just shut down and begin to go in panic mode. Always try and keep the mentality that everything will work itself out. In situations, though things may not be perfect, it is important to remember that time will pass and it will move on. The reality is that 56% of students explain that homework is their main source of stress. The issue is not homework is being given, it's the amount of homework being given. The standard put in place for students has been exceeded beyond its maximum limit and is becoming more and more impossible for students to meet this expectation set by teachers. The issue is not homework is being given, it's the amount being given. Teachers need to understand that while managing 4 school courses, they also have extracurricular activities and jobs. This issue is constantly argued among teachers, students, and parents every day. There is a difference between preparing your students for the real world and overwhelming them to the point where they don't want to face their future. If this issue is not resolved, more and more students will have mental and physical health issues as time continues. It would be a shame for people who are supposed to prepare us for our future to destroy it before it even starts.